Hi, so welcome to another episode of the SkyoöD-Vu P.O.V show. I actually had started filming this in the car and drive home, but I just couldn't get the video the way I wanted to shoot with the sunlight and the sun setting. It was coming in and really washing out the video, so I just abandoned it. So right now it's halftime at the World Cup games, watching England versus Belgium, wearing the Deutschland uniform shirt. Guess I should be in mourning, maybe a little black band here since they got kicked out and got sent home, but oh well, it is what it is. I would have probably even been more shocked if they would have made it past the first rounds. They just didn't play well. But enough of that, back to car talk, the main subject on this channel here. And of course, as of late, I've been focusing a lot on Formula One, so the show is not going to be too long again. Formula One chatter. Excellent race in France. Was a little disappointed, mainly from the standpoint of the track layout. I had seen a lot of the track layout, but they showed some footage from the circuit Paul Ricard back in the 70s and 80s, and it seems like they've really flattened out the track. It seemed like there was a lot more elevation changes in the original track versus the current track, which is bizarre. It may have something to do with the fact that it's also Paul Ricard is the only Formula One capable track that can be fully wet down, meaning you can have sprinklers going the whole time and you can really go and test rain tires out there, which a couple teams have done in the past, and Pirelli as well. I think even Bridgestone back in the day and Michelin did some testing there for wet tire performance for Formula One cars. So and of course, then as a Tifosi, it was a little bit disappointing because, well, at least Raikkonen saved the day for the Scuderia and was able to at least get the third. Vettel just blew it, basically. I mean, you don't win the race in the first turn. He wanted a lot, and yes, he had an advantage because he was the only one running on the super sticky tire, so he did have a grip advantage and could have basically challenged for the first spot, but his start wasn't. It was better than I think Hamilton or Bottas, but just not enough to make up the difference that he would have been able to shoot past Hamilton and take over first place in the first turn, or even Bottas for second place in the first turn. Destroyed the front end of the car, as most of you probably know by now. But at least he was able to salvage some points for his own championship and for Scuderia's overall constructor champion, at least by coming in fifth and getting 10 points for himself. So, another thing to discuss, I guess Ricciardo has been offered, rumored to have been offered $20 million to switch to McLaren. I really don't think he's going to do it. In fact, just before I started recording, I got a notification on my phone from Formula One that there's a statement coming out from, or at least Verstappen, that he doesn't think Ricciardo is going to leave the team. And just because they're taking on Honda and it may seem a bit of a gamble, I think it'd be a bad move to go to McLaren. That just right now, I don't know. Unless there's something that they know about that they could offer him behind closed doors that would let him build a legacy at McLaren, because he helped develop the car and made it a contender for a championship. That's possible, I assume. But we'll have to kind of see what happens with it. One thing, though, that this all kind of brought up, because I was talking to a buddy of mine about the race and the rumors with Honda, or not rumors, the fact that Honda's moving, and he was a little shocked, and is something I've considered, thought about quite a bit, and maybe some of you have not thought about it if you're into Formula One, and that is, why doesn't McLaren build their own engine? I mean, I think they look at themselves, or at least in the past look at themselves, as the primary rival as far as a legacy team goes, and an overall legacy within Formula One, as the primary rival to Ferrari. And Ferrari builds their own engine, so my question is, why doesn't McLaren? I mean, the reality situation is they have their own supercar manufacturing site now. They're building 3, at least major models that they sell to the open public. So why don't they develop their own engine? It's really strange to me that they don't make the attempt, and why they haven't made the attempt sooner. I mean, as far as F1 technology coming into the road car, this is what they claim for the P1, which is their hypercar that is a hybrid. And got the technology from the Formula One team. So it's strange to me that they don't go. Now, my buddy says, yeah, there's the budget. It's impossible. So I looked that up, and yeah, okay, he may have a valid point, but if I look at the numbers, if you look at Ferrari as a corporation, they're estimated to be worth, their overall revenue is, I have to put my glasses on, I'm getting old. They're estimated to have approximately, this is according to Forbes and Wikipedia, they're estimated to have basically a revenue of $3.5 billion, whereas McLaren Group, which is the owner of McLaren Racing, has 1.156. So that is a big gap. That's almost double the difference, double the revenue. Operating income, again, it's a substantial difference. Ferrari has an annual operating income, and this is as of 2016 figures basically, of $691 million, whereas McLaren Group is $57 million, and net income, Ferrari has $463 million as opposed to McLaren Group, which has $87 million. But if we go to the teams, the difference is not so bad, at least as far as revenue goes. Revenue, Scuderia Ferrari has $349 million in revenue, whereas McLaren Racing has only $233 million. So that's, yes, it's $100 million, and it's a gap, but I don't think it's as insane of a gap. What's a little bit more insane is the operating income. Scuderia Ferrari's 2016 operating income, this is according to Forbes, $36 million. Here comes the kicker. McLaren Racing, minus $4 million. So that is a huge difference. The only thing I'm trying to figure out on that, though, then, how is it minus 4? Is it just because they aren't doing a good job, or they're not doing as good a job as Ferrari is in getting title sponsors on, team sponsorship? I mean, if you look at the current McLaren car in orange, there's virtually no logos on the ride. So they're not selling any advertising space, and I don't really get that. With the type of folks that are running the team and their reputation, yeah, okay, the performance hasn't been there, but they're still a top-level team, so they should be able to get enough revenue from advertising to be able to make up for that difference. So that's just some food for thought. I still think they should try. It would add more prestige to their road cars as well. And my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes from Enzo Ferrari really is that he was being asked about the company and the building of the sports cars and the value of the sports cars versus the race team, or where he had more passion for it. And he says, he's quoted, if I remember it correctly, the quote goes something along these lines, and that is that I don't build cars, I don't race cars to build cars. I build cars so I can race cars. So basically, the only reason he was in the production of road-going cars is so that he could have the war chest to go racing. And to an extent, I think Ferrari still operates that way. Now, I know that the CEO of the Ferrari or Fiat Group, Sergio Marchionne, has been really putting the thumb screws to their budget in the past couple years, and probably if Marchionne, who is a big budget guy, I mean, he's a bean counter, that's his background, I'm sure if he could figure out some way to abandon Scuderia Ferrari as a racing arm and basically just say, hey, look, we'll just sell Ferrari road cars and it won't affect our sales in any way, he probably might even actually legitimately consider it, I assume. But he is part of Italian, so he's Italian-Canadian, or Canadian of Italian descent. And the thing is, you know, with Ferrari, is Italy, Italy is Ferrari. And so if he's Italian, he has Italian blood in him, he obviously, there's an emotional component to the Ferrari team within the Fiat Group, even for him. So that's it for today's F1 chatter and for today's SkyoöD-Vu P.O.V issue. If you like what you heard and like what you saw, found it mildly interesting, if you'd like to make a comment, please do so. Make a comment about it and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.